Hello, I'm Nhi, and if you're following me, then you might know this video. And today's video is a follow-up video for this video. There's too many videos in a video. We will not be going in too deep in any skill, like listening or reading or speaking or writing. We're just talking about the general preparations you need to have before you start studying IELTS or before you take the IELTS test. So one of the more popular questions when people start to know that they want to take the IELTS test is, should I study at an English center? Should I find a mentor? Should I talk to a teacher? And my answer is yes and no. So firstly, why yes? Well, I would say that you should study at an English center, or you should definitely talk to somebody who's professional in this field if you have no basic knowledge of IELTS. If your English level is below average is around the A level to the B1 level, and if your current level is pretty different from your ideal level, your ideal target. So for instance, if you are currently at a 5.5 mark and your target is about 7.5, why not ask a teacher to help you? Why not go to an English center? One more type of people that I totally recommend to seek out guidance is the type of people who know nothing about English. Why do I say you know nothing? So English is a second language here, and you have a lot of English tests in class. If you do not succeed in class, that means that you're really unprepared for IELTS, because the English that is taught in class, even though it's kind of different, it's still basic English that everyone could study. And if your marks aren't that high, you should really consider starting out from number 0 and starting out with a mentor. A personal mentor would be better. And what about the no part? Why do I disagree with going to an English center? It could be a waste of money, because from people from level B2 to C1 and above, I don't recommend you guys to go to a language center. You could do everything you need at home. You could find free references of free materials online. So going to an English center or finding a mentor could be costly. If you are still in two minds about whether to study in an English center or just do this studying yourself, here are a few benefits of both sides. Firstly, English center. You have a teacher. That is the number one benefit. You have somebody who is going to feedback you right there and then. The second benefit of studying at an English center is that you have tons of materials. So before I took the IELTS test, I took a course, a 6-month course, and now that I think of it, I would have never known the materials. I would never find the materials if I hadn't participated in that course. So materials, yeah, you get a bunch of them. You get limitless materials, to be honest, and they are very helpful. And number 3 is that you have a fixed schedule. So I know that there are a few different classes, a few different English centers with a type of schedule called flexible hours, where you can study whenever you want. But I recommend getting a fixed schedule, because some people, aka me, I get really demotivated when I'm alone, and I get really lazy when I don't have a schedule. So I need to work with a deadline, I need to work with clear schedule, otherwise I would do nothing. And yeah, these are the 3 benefits here. As for when you're studying alone, number 1, it's super cheap. It might be free because you don't need to pay somebody. You don't necessarily need to pay for materials too. The second benefit of studying alone, that is, you can study at your own pace. You could study whenever you feel like it. You don't have to feel guilty. You don't have to bother to just pick up your phone and say, hi, I can't make it today, can we reschedule? It's overall chiller. And last but not least, it's less stressful. I know that some people get very stressed when they're with a group of people or when they're just one-on-one with somebody else. So studying alone can help keep your mental health stable. And one more thing to know about studying alone or self-studying is that you can find a bunch of resources on the internet for free. So don't think that you just have to go to an English center to get all these resources, because most of them are free on the internet if you know where to look. I don't know where to look, so I can't help you on this one. So nextly is how to choose an English center. So I cannot speak from experience, because I just literally jumped on the bandwagon because all my friends were gravitating towards this English center, and I just thought, why not? These are a few things that I wish I knew before I just literally hopped into a place to study. Firstly, do not believe current students' reviews or feedback. Sometimes the current students, or more specifically students who have a close relationship with the teacher. For example, if the teacher is their family member or is somebody they know personally on a personal level, you should not really trust them because sometimes it's biased. So In order to get more objective reviews, you should ask former students or students that do not have any personal relationship with the teacher, the mentor at all, if that's possible. Secondly, that is to think about the price. I failed to do this because I was pretty hasty, so I just literally applied everything, I registered everything, and then when I got the fee, I was bamboozled. I was so embarrassed to ask my mom because it was a huge amount of money. So yeah, you should know the price first before you jump into anything. So those are the two few things that you have to bear in mind if you're trying to find a mentor or a teacher. Okay, so this is the section that most of you have been dying to know, which is how to study alone. Then I studied 6 months at an English center, and then I spent the next 6 months studying alone at home by myself. How to study alone? The first thing you need to know when you study alone is what level you're on. You could know by tests on the internet, which I love to do, so you have a brief understanding of what level you're on. If you could, I recommend knowing your results or getting tested by a professional. Could be a teacher, could be an English center, or just take the Ielts test in general if you can. And you could also make observations from your performance in school, like your English lessons in school. If you have below average marks, then you would know that your English level isn't good. It might be below average in IELTS too. But if you have higher marks, then that means that you're about the average level. So after estimating what level you're on, for example B2, now you need to know your target. So this depends on your purpose of taking the IELTS test. If you're trying to study abroad, then you might already have an aim. So just set your own goal, set your own target. And once you have your target, we move on to one of the most important steps. That is, identify your weaknesses. First, you should identify in the 4 skills which one is your stronger point and which one is the weak points. Now, after we know what skill we're not that good at, we need to know what part, which section are we having problems with. For me, the skill that I had the most problem with was writing and reading. And in reading, I was really bad at headings. So the way that I knew this was that I did a bunch of reading exercises and I just took notes. I just did like a mini survey about myself. And I saw that I tend to get wrong answers in the matching headings part. And that is my weakness. Now you know your weakness, we have to find a way to tackle the weakness. Identifying your weakness doesn't mean that you know how to fix it immediately, because sometimes weakness can stem from different aspects, from different facets. For example, why I could not do headings is because I kept skimming over the text. I didn't get a full understanding of what was happening in the text, and therefore I did not know which paragraph was talking about which thing. So that was my problem. Try to analyze why you keep doing wrong there. Learn to know why you're making this mistake, why you're so bad at that section, why you can't do it, and then we find a way to tackle with it. Now you have found why, your reason. You find a way to tackle it. There are many ways to tackle it, and if I had to list them all, it would be so long. So basically, it is trying out new methods to do your work, because you need to try different things. There are a bunch of methods on the internet, and I'm sure you could find some, like people would show you tips how to ace the listening test, or they would show you tips how to speak fluently in English. And since there are so many resources, you should just check them out, and if you have time, why not do it? Just try it and write down your results and see which one has a higher success rate. Okay, so I just came back from school and I just brainstormed another thing that is super important. That is, you need to understand yourself. You think it might be easy, but it's pretty difficult to understand yourself. And why you need to do this? Well, let me explain it now. So the first thing you need to understand is your learning style. So I know that there are more than 2 learning styles, but the ones that I can remember right now is visual learning and auditorial learning. Basically, it's that you learn through pictures, and the other ones you learn through audios. So why is this important? Because once you know your learning style, you could determine what type of materials you need to look for. You might want to use something that is more efficient for you. In my case, it was learning through audio. So the type of materials that I preferred the most was podcasts, YouTube videos, and I learned a lot through them, like even more than I learned on paper. So my choice was to find podcasts, either speaking, writing. So if you're a visual learner, you could draw mind maps. Yeah, this is a very common, but it's a very effective way to study. Like you could put vocabularies in a mind map together. But I tried this too, but it wasn't my learning style, my prominent learning style, so I did not gain much knowledge from it. How do you determine your learning style? You can observe. You observe yourself studying. Like if you prefer to listen to lectures, then your style might be audio. I forgot the word. But if you like to watch videos, you like to look at pictures or graphs, then you might be a visual learner. Another way to determine your learning style is by doing personality tests on the internet. Another part of understanding yourself is understanding what makes you comfortable. Like how does your brain turn on? For me, a comfortable environment is when I'm sitting alone. Some people prefer to work in teams or just study with somebody by their side, their siblings, their parents, or their partner, whoever. But for me, I work the best. Like I focus the most when I'm alone, and I am more confident when I'm sitting alone and nobody's looking at me. So I made my learning space kind of isolated from my family, and I did not go to studying groups whatsoever. And yeah, that is basically how I self-studied. So anyways, thank you so much for watching this video today. I hope that helped you a little bit. Yeah, goodbye, and I hope to see you soon.